Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Yesshift. It's another Steven's Vinyl Adventures episode. This time focusing on Asia in Asia, but I'll also be touching on Record Store Day news that came out this week because, this little sub series is about vinyl, so I might as well catch up on that news and I'll touch on a couple other bits of news as well. Might as well in order to lighten the load and whenever the next news desk episode comes out. And if my voice doesn't feel up to par, I'm getting over something, so I'm just powering through. There might be moments of pauses where I'm just trying to, compose myself, making sure I can speak well enough. But yeah, where do we even begin? So I'd been planning this Asia in Asia episode for a little while. I thought it'd be nice to do it a week after the Alpha episode and around the time of these Japanese tour dates that the current Asia lineup is doing, which pays tribute to that Asia in Asia set. And uh, I won't talk about what that set list is until the end of the episode. It's very similar to Asia and Asia, but there are a few minor differences which I really want to talk about, which are fascinating. And where do I even begin? Do I start with the record store day stuff, or I'll also say that the timing of this is kind of nice. This Asia and Asia live at the Budokan Tokyo 1983 episode, because just yesterday, Yes Music Podcast ended up releasing an episode where Kevin and Mark talked with Glenn Williams about prog rock bands performing in Japan and the scene there. And also, happy birthday to Kevin Mulrine. It was his birthday the other day. But yeah, it was a really fascinating conversation. Glenn Williams really shed some light on what the scene is like over there. Like, the legacy prog acts are still huge over there, but it's really tough to get newer prog acts over there, apparently. So yeah, check out that discussion after this episode if you haven't already. And a happy birthday to Richie Castellano. It's his birthday today. He's been instrumental in Jon Anderson and the Band Geeks. All those guys, they perform so well, and really excited for their next album that's expected to come out later this year. But yeah, they're involved in the record store day news as well. So I guess I'll begin with all of that, and then I'll eventually shift into the Asia in Asia thing. So I'll show the cover for this. On Record Store Day is April 18th. And just get to this tab here. The artwork for this very much complements the Perpetual Change artwork. Let me share this other one. Let's see, share tab, and then I'll read from that one. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this. Yeah, I got it now. I got it. Okay, so Jon Anderson and the Band Geeks True is getting a Record Store Day release. So this says Jon Anderson and the Band Geeks will release a deluxe edition of True exclusively for Record Store Day on April 18th, 2026. The deluxe release expands on the critically acclaimed debut from the former lead singer of Yes. It includes a previously unreleased piano and string quartet of Build Me an Ocean, along with alternate exclusive artwork designed by Stan Decker. This special Record Store Day pressing offers fans with a new perspective on True, while presenting the album in a collectible record store day only configuration. Yeah, and yeah, I do see one of the comments here comparing this to Salvador Dali. I definitely get those vibes. And like I said, it very much feels like it's in the same world as the Perpetual Change artwork. Maybe it's like you could turn the camera and it would be like right next to that. Um, but yeah, this is really cool. I guess Build Me an Ocean. Um, I wonder if this is the same or at least similar to the demo that John released a while ago ahead of when the album was being made. Maybe, or maybe it's something different, but yeah, I'd be curious to get this even just for that. Even if it is something I've heard already, I do love the music. So, yeah, might need to look into that. Historically, with record store day stuff, I've never really gone out to like seek out record store day stuff for whatever reason. But yeah, I guess we'll see about that. And Yes also announced this week that there will be a record store day release from them as well. And this is very much related to the Tales from Topographic Oceans Super Deluxe Edition, which came out just yesterday. And I got it in the mail. I'm making my way through that, and I'm still making my way through Symphonic Live. So, like I mentioned in a post, each of those will get their own individual episodes. They'll get their due. So on the Yes Official page, it says, witness the most ambitious era of Yes with Tales from Topographic Tours, a limited 3 LP black vinyl breakout of legendary live performances from the 1973 to 74 tour. This set features soaring live versions of all 4 epic album sides, including a rare take on The Remembering, capturing the band's metamorphic energy at its peak. Find more info and a participating indie record store to make plans with at recordstoreday.com. All right. And there was a bit of a, back and forth from people online saying they wish that they had known about this before ordering the Super Deluxe Edition set. And, I put in my order actually the day before this was announced. So what I've been hearing is that this record store day set, these LPs will include the live tracks that are on the CDs on the Super Deluxe Edition, which I still have yet to listen to those particular CDs. So far, I've listened to discs 8 and 9, which include rarities. I'm really trying to pace myself so that I don't get tired of it. Tales is my favorite Yes album, but I don't want to burn out. I gotta listen to other stuff in between. But yeah, I have the set right here. I'll just give you a quick peek. And I am glad that I got it. This will look better in the photos that I take and present as a slideshow on its own episode. I really love the look of it and how the CDs are housed on the inside of this. So I'll do a proper overview of that in the near future. Might be in the next week or so, depending how far I get. Because, like I said, I'm still getting through Symphonic Live. So I got a lot. I've got, yeah, I'm really glad to have this stuff. It's really cool. So I am curious about whether I'll be, this is also something it would be nice to have, but whether I'll be able to acquire it, I'm not really sure. So if I do, I'll let y'all know. But I think it's really cool, but it might have been nice for it to be announced sooner, as I've been seeing from other people. But then again, I feel like all of the Record Store Day announcements were pretty much set for this week. There was a scheduled week where everyone would do that, so maybe there really was nothing that could be done about that if it all had to be uniform. There's also a couple Record Store Day releases involving Bill Bruford. One of them is of Feels Good to Me. I almost said the other title because I kind of get them mixed up sometimes. But yeah, so prog rock drummer Bill Bruford's first studio album, 1978, Feels Good to Me, formerly of Yes, King Crimson, and Genesis. The album features prog rock legends, guitarist Alan Holdsworth, bassist Jeff Berlin, and keyboardist Dave Stewart. All About Jazz called the album a landmark recording due to the sheer chemistry between the core members. This deluxe vinyl package includes OBI side spine, original artwork, printed inner sleeve, and crystal clear blue vinyl. And of course, it's got the original track list there. I don't see any. I believe it's the same original track list, but let me just double check. I want to be sure to do my due diligence. But the other Record Store Day release is actually King Crimson related, but a lineup that Bill Bruford was in back in the 70s. Okay, yeah, this does look like the original track list for Feels Good to Me. But yeah, onto the Crimson album. So just getting to that. Okay, this is the cover image for it. Quite different from what I would have expected, honestly. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Right, so got him on the guitar there, and it's got like a reddish color palette against, dark shirt, dark background. And I'll go ahead and read the details of this one because this is from also on the Bill Bruford listing. It said it's limited to 1,000 copies, but anyway, onto this Crimson one. Panegyric and DGM will release King Crimson 1974 Penn State University on Record Store Day, April 18th, 2026. This legendary concert took place a day after the Asbury Park show that features on 75's USA Live album and was first available in part on the Great Deceiver box set in 1992. Now, for the first time, the complete concert is to be released as a 2 LP set in a gatefold sleeve with new sleeve notes by Crimson biographer Sid Smith. Famed for the inclusion of 2 outstanding improvisations is Their Life Out There, and It Is For You But Not For Us. The setlist also features cuts from their 1974 Starless and Bible Black album and the then unreleased epic set Closer Starless. Long requested by fans for a vinyl release, Penn State is being made available on 200-gram double vinyl exclusively for Record Store Day 2026. 74 Penn State University also includes the recording of 21st Century Schizoid Man from the band's New York Central Park gig 2 days later, which was to be this lineup's last live performance before becoming a trio to begin recording the Red album. All right, so that's pretty exciting. I see the track list includes Walk On, No Footing, Larks, Tongues, and Aspic, Part 2, Lament, Exiles, Improv, Is There Life Out There, Easy Money, Improv, It Is For You, But Not For Us, Fracture, Starless, 21st Century Schizoid Man, and yeah, record June 29th, 1974. Very interesting stuff. Let's see. I suppose I should read off the tracks that are on the Yes one. Because some of you might already have the super deluxe edition CDs, but just in case. And I also saw there was a video that the Yes official page posted about that show the Tails balloon, so that's really cool. Okay, I don't see the track list handy, but yeah, all the stuff I've been seeing, I've been saying that it's the live tracks that are on the super deluxe edition. So I guess we'll leave that there. And before I go into Asia and Asia, I just want to quickly run through some news tidbits from Rick Wakeman's February ramblings, because why not? He says, Return to the Red Planet has been mastered and is ready for production. Genuinely pleased when I listen to it, even though I'm desperate need of a hi-fi stack with CD player, cassette player, and turntable with decent speakers, as my systems are all in dire need of repair. Finish with sleeve notes. Next stage is designing and producing a great cover. There will be a playback with a Q&A, not sure where yet, possibly Decoy Studios. Random House and Penguin Books have decided to do an in-depth biography, and I've commissioned Ian Gittins to put it all together, and to this end have already been meeting up where I have been rambling away and answering numerous questions about my life that even I couldn't remember. Ian has ghostwritten for such luminaries as Billy Connolly, Cliff Richards, and Carmine Appice, and the book will be published in autumn, and I'm hoping to visit as many book fairs and bookshops as possible, as I did with the Grumpy Old Rockstar books, as I love doing those events. February sees a lot of continuing preparation for the remainder of the year. Starts in earnest on the first weekend of the month when son Oliver arrives to go through the set. Okay, so that could be going on right now, getting ready for the Wakeman and Son tour. On the 2nd, he was at Eric Jordan's nursery studio to record keyboard additions to 2 different tracks. Also in the first week, meeting with a builder, put together the studio at the previous house with the help of Eric Jordan, as work will begin in March on the new studio. Wednesday the 4th, first visit to the hairdressers since the operation. On the 6th, he went to Bristol for the Slapstick Festival, where he played live piano to a Buster Keaton short silent movie called The Boat, and the Beacon. That evening at the Beacon and following morning at the Lantern Theater, presenting a load of comedy musical moments from throughout the years. On the 9th, he heads to London for a meeting with Brian Deal-A-Day Lane, so Brian Lane, manager, and also attending the American Embassy, where his visa is being renewed. On the 13th, yes, Friday the 13th, will be off to Pinewood Studios to do some filming for a documentary about Keith Moon. And throughout the month, he'll also be recording more podcasts with Mark Jeeves. And answering questions have been sent into Uncut Magazine. The most recent episode dropped the other day of Rick's podcast, The Myths and Legends of Rick Wakeman. That one had a nice bit about Lee Pomeroy, and Rick had really nice things to say about Lee Pomeroy, bassist, and talked about the ARW days in regards to him. On the 16th and 17th, he'll be doing a load of interviews for America to talk about the Wakeman and Son tour, and hopefully won't bore the listeners too much. On the 21st, he and Oliver have a warm-up show, although it will be full-on and far from a gentle warm-up. This is a Divisies gig, this is in Divisies, and sold out very quickly after it was announced. It'll be a lot of fun for sure. See you next month. Cheers, Rick. And I also saw that Adam Wakeman, along with Young Blood, they won a Grammy, and Rick posted about that. The Jazz Sabbath Live album comes out February 20th. I'd missed the first listening session for that, and there's another one last night that was more friendly to the time-wise to the eastern part of the world, and I set an alarm to try staying up to listen to that. But when I got up from the alarm, I couldn't stay awake, so I'm just gonna have to wait to listen to that album when it comes out, when I get it, But yeah, very excited for that Jazz Sabbath live album. But okay, so Asia in Asia. Thank you for your patience. So again, this is the concert, or it was actually a couple of shows that they did this this lineup. The original Asia lineup was John Wetton, Steve Howe, Jeff Downes, and Carl Palmer. But after Alpha came out, John Wetton ended up leaving, and they really needed someone to perform with them at the Budokan. So Greg Lake, being a good friend of Carl Palmer, was able to fill in. And I've talked about this concert and the video, the CDs, I'm sure. But yeah, I finally got to listen to the vinyl records that are in this box set that I got a couple years, or maybe 3 years back, even now that I think about it. I remember Dad and I did an unboxing video of this, but I'll go ahead and show these photos of it that I've just recently taken. So this shows pretty much the contents of the box set. This is this paper thing that's in it and shows all this stuff. So you see the CDs, the Blu-ray, the records, which are in white and yellow. You got the lineup right there. And they use Alpha Roger Dean artwork as the poster, one of the posters that's in this, and includes the lineup for this live thing there. Kind of odd, because I associate this so much with the album that has Wetton on it, but I'm sure that when the concert was advertised, Alpha, that imagery was all over the place. Then we have this poster with the artwork that's on the cover of the box set. Got that Roger Dean round architecture place that I'm sure anyone would love to visit. Got this body of water, these arches, rock. I don't know if they're made of rock or shells, or maybe even a plant or something else. I don't know. This is the little envelope, or something like an envelope, which contained the posters and the photo. And this was a little thing that had the Asia pin. And I believe that's the same logo that's on the 2007 Tokyo video, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's probably on the earlier albums even. I have to look again. But here you got the 2 CDs and the Blu-ray. And something I didn't notice before is the writing credits for each of the tracks, at least on the Blu-ray, maybe on the other things as well. They would say who wrote each track, but for the Blu-ray, it says something like not a musical composition or something like that. Let me see if I can zoom in better. Yeah, I think it says non-musical work, but yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny. We got the backsides of the CD and Blu-ray sleeves, which showcase the lineup in these photos, a lot of them in color, a lot of them in black and white. Let's see, am I zoomed in enough? Okay, I'll go to the next slide. So these are the front covers of those sleeves, the CD and Blu-ray. This is the cover of the box set itself. It's nice and big. This is the yellow record, and that is, yeah, that's sides 3 and 4. and the white one is sides 1 and 2. And okay, this is easier for me to read right from me. Yeah. All right, let me read off the track list for these. Let me finish this first. So this is I think this was this is the back of the LP sleeve, which includes a track list. So side 1, we got Introduction from Mark Goodman, MTV. Track 2, Time Again, The Heat Goes On, Here Comes a Feeling, Eye to Eye. Side 2 has Steve Howe solo sketches, In the Sun, Only Time Will Tell, Open Your Eyes, Jeffrey Downs solo, and in parentheses it says Ahiri, The Setting Sun / Bolero. Side 3, The Smile Has Left Your Eyes, Wildest Dreams, Carl Palmer solo, Heat of the Moment. And side 4, Soul Survivor, Cutting It Fine, and Daylight. And that's the front of the LP sleeve thing. The thing that contains the LPs, like everything. These are nice shots of that lineup. And right here, you got the info: MTV satellite telecast to America, 6th of December, 1983, Matt Wiggins and Rick Nelson 2022 remix. And yeah, the video, I think I've talked about the video, how it's got like the MTV broadcast as well as the alternate version that was released, I believe, maybe on Laserdisc. I know it says in the info. And the booklet, there's a really nice booklet which is in this set and gives the context of, okay, we needed to get Greg, and it took a bit to get him used to the material. And they also talked about the venue itself. The Budokan was a hall used for the Olympics years prior, so it was not exactly ideal, but they really made it work. So yeah, I really enjoy this concert. It's got that bombastic sound. Listening to the records on my record player, I kind of felt like I was actually listening to the concert as it was happening, like being broadcast on the radio or something. Like it had that feel. And there are some records, some live albums where I can listen to them, and even if I know what the venue looks like, even if I've seen footage of the concert, sometimes the audio version will make me think it's a different place entirely. Like I'll imagine a different place, a different type of stage, but the Budokan video is just so iconic that I can't not picture that place. I mean, props for that, such an iconic concert. But yeah, I had some thoughts on the track list. So something that I don't know if I've talked about before is that when listening to this, the first couple tracks, of course, being Time Again and Wildest Dreams, I got really, not Time Again and Wildest Dreams. Right. Okay, so it begins with Time Again. I did kind of wonder, listening to this, it made me kind of nostalgic for, weirdly, the 2007 Tokyo DVD during the original lineup reunion period, because they began with Time Again. And, it's a good opener for the concerts. So definitely not the only time they've done it. But yeah, there were moments where I wondered to myself if the Tokyo 2007 concert in some ways was kind of giving a tip of the hat to this 1983 Budokan Tokyo concert, because you would think some of the people, there might be a little bit of overlap, at least, people who want to see Asia again decades later, and it's that lineup. And yeah, so I do kind of wonder if there was some thought put into, okay, we played this back in the Budokan in '83. Oh, they're gonna love this, but it could be a coincidence. They would have appreciated the concert either way, I'm sure. But yeah, this track list got a lot of the first album, but you also got alpha tracks like Eye to Eye and Open Your Eyes. The Smile Has Left Your Eyes, all the eyes. But yeah, okay, Wildest Dreams is further down in the track list. And during Carl Palmer's solo, I was trying to remember, does he take his shirt off in the video? Because I'm so used to his whole gimmick of like taking off his shirt during a drum solo. So when listening to just the audio, you kind of think, okay, maybe he takes his shirt off during that part, whether it happened or not. The Steve Howe solo sketches in the sun. It's what's strange is that my introduction to that solo piece was the bonus track on the Yes Tormato Remastered CD, the track titled High, where it's that same guitar composition but has lyrics on top of it. So I couldn't help but think of Jon's singing certain words from the track High. But yeah, I don't know if it's just hard to like detach from that version when that's the first one I experienced of it. But very beautiful composition. Jeff's solo is it's got that nice eerie sound. Yeah, like this is a really rocking set. I was kind of surprised to, it'd been a while since the last time I checked this out in those other formats that are in this set, other than the vinyl. It always feels strange to me when an Asia concert or live album does not end with Heat of the Moment, because I'm so used to think of that as the obvious closer. But having this end with Soul Survivor, Cutting It Fine, and Daylight, which was that bonus track on Alpha, I guess in a way that's kind of refreshing. But yeah, like Heat of the Moment, I just associate so much as a closer song. But yeah, Greg Lake, his voice, some similarities in some ways to John Wetton, but you can tell which is which, and really great voices. We're really blessed to have them in the prog world on all these different albums, and to document that basically one-time lineup with video and these other formats. Really amazing. I'm glad I was able to finally get around to finish the experience of going through this box set. And I'll check this out again from time to time, listen to one format sometime down the line, then the other again sometime down the line. Not just to like talk about on here, but for my own enjoyment of the material. And yeah, the booklet has some really great photos as well. It's really well worth having if you can find this thing. Yeah, let me just see if I can like do a quick flip through the booklet. Yeah, so the booklet is about this big. It's got all sorts of neat stuff in it. I love when they go all out for these releases and put in all the work for big booklets like these. They're, they really complete the experience, because you got the concert captured as is, so it's like you're listening to it now, but you also have the stuff that's looking back on all of that. You even have words from Steve Howe in here. So yeah, very iconic Asia concert. I'm just making sure I set this aside safely. Man, I just love the feel of the box, like how smooth it is. Like the blue color palette is very fitting, and the video looks great. Like I can't say enough good things about this Asia and Asia thing. But yeah, so the current Asia lineup has been paying tribute to that set. They've played at least a couple of the Japanese tour dates so far. I actually have in front of me one of the shows has a set list over on Setlist FM. So assuming this is correct, I'll, if you don't want to hear, what the set list is, like if you're tuning in from Japan and haven't seen the final show or whatever, go ahead and tune now, and I'll be back next time, probably talking about Symphonic Live, unless I do something crazy and finish Tales Super Deluxe Edition before then, in which case I would do that first. But yeah, okay, so the current Asia lineup, Jeff Downes, Harry Whitley, John Mitchell, and Virgil Donati, they have this set list that includes most of what's on this Asia in Asia track list. Some of it is in order, some of it is not. But I gotta have the track list in front of me again so I can properly compare. We begin with Time Again, so we got that same beginning. Then The Heat Goes On, so far the same. And then there's a little bit of a deviation, apparently. So we get to Eye to Eye instead of getting to Here Comes the Feeling next and then Eye to Eye. So Eye to Eye is the third song in the set, according to this. And then they played Lucky Man, which is interesting because, Greg Lake and Carl Palmer, they were both at the Budokan concert. And this is an ELP track, but none of the ALP members are, of course, in this current Asia lineup. So it's kind of strange, but I think a really nice tribute to them to actually do that, make room for that in the Asia set, because ELP is part of Asia's heritage. So I think that's really sweet what they did there. Then they did, and looking at the track list, after Eye to Eye on the 1983 track list is Steve Howe's Sketches in the Sun. So I guess Lucky Man is kind of the replacement for that. They don't have Steve Howe in the current Asia lineup. I do kind of wonder if maybe there was talk of, what if we do something that Steve played? Or if maybe they thought, well, he's playing his solo pieces in Yes. But then again, with Carl Palmer's ELP Legacies, I think also playing Lucky Man. So yeah, I kind of wonder what the conversation was like. But either way, that's an interesting choice. And I think doing something different as opposed to making it all exactly like the Asia and Asia 83 set adds more flavor to it. So in the current set list, after Lucky Man is Only Time Will Tell. So we're kind of back with the track order now from the looks of it. And then Open Your Eyes. And then a little bit of a deviation as they played Cutting It Fine, which on the 83 track list is much further down. And after Cutting It Fine, they played The Smile Has Left Your Eyes. So kind of getting back in the order, and then Wildest Dreams, and then a drum solo. So that's very much in line with Carl Palmer drum solo, but of course it's Virgil here doing a drum solo. Then we get Heat of the Moment, followed by Soul Survivor. And for the encore, they played Don't Cry, which, oh, yeah, I guess Don't Cry wasn't on this 83 vinyl set, huh? Yeah, yeah, that is kind of strange, especially given that they gave that a whole music video. And then the other encore song, which was the very end, was Video Killed the Radio Star, which, again, it's the Buggles are part of Asia's heritage, but why at the end of this set? I'm kind of confused about that. Is it because the 83 concert was broadcast on MTV and this was a tip of the hat to MTV? I don't know. It's kind of strange to me, but hey, if people enjoyed it, they enjoyed it. But this kind of makes me think about Yes's approach to things. We have a concert from back in the day replicated, and Yes has also done their album series replicating the track list of their classic albums. But I think the little differences in this set kind of interest me a bit more. I saw Yes on their Fragile tour this past November, and sorry, I'm just like glancing at some of the other stuff in this Asia set. But yeah, I saw their Fragile tour in November. I had not seen the first time around that they did Fragile in the mid 2010s, but I'd seen a video of it, and they did that Yahoo stream. So even though it was cool seeing them perform all of Fragile, I think it might have potentially been more interesting if the solo pieces, while it's nice to give a tip of the hat to the members who were on that album, it might have been interesting if the current members of Yes had swapped out those solo pieces for their own pieces that they were involved with. Like Steve Howe could still do Mood for a Day, or he could play some other solo piece that he doesn't normally get to play. Billy Sherwood could have still given a tip of the hat to Chris Squire by maybe doing a bass medley of some conspiracy stuff, maybe even thrown vocal passages and stuff. John Davison, maybe he could have sung something from Glass Hammer or some of the other things he's been involved with over the years. Jeff Downs, he's got some really great instrumental pieces in Asia and in other stuff, so very well could have done something there. And Jay Shellen, he's been involved with a lot of things, so I'm sure he could have done something interesting. I think he might have done a drum solo actually at some point in the concert that I saw. You might need to listen to my review of that again. I'd have to look again, but yeah, stuff like that where it's like you get the familiar experience, but they throw in surprises and stuff so that it's not exactly the same. I think I quite like that approach. So yeah, maybe something that would have been quite interesting to see. Anyway, very much looking forward to seeing what the current Asia lineup does. Again, they're putting out the Live in England live album recorded last year, comes out in March, and they've got a studio album coming out later this year. So I'm real excited to see what this new configuration of Asia is able to put together. And again, it doesn't overshadow the previous eras we've enjoyed. It's just a new era, and clearly there's a reverence for the older stuff. So it's all part of the lineage, the heritage, the legacy. All right. So thanks for tuning in. I'm actually quite surprised I was able to go on for this long with what I've been getting over. And hopefully I gave Asia and Asia its justice. I feel like I've talked about it at various points on this podcast throughout the years. Anyway, so um, it's funny the little things that take you a while to notice. I just noticed that the logo at the top has two Asia logos. There's like the smaller one that's mostly greenish, and it's surrounded by the more bluish one. It's, man, Roger Dean always surprises me, like even long after the fact. I love that stuff. All right, so I'll be back probably sometime this coming week, and we'll see if I talk about Symphonic Live first or the Tales Super Deluxe Edition first. Very fun stuff. Very fun getting back to listening to some of this music more often. And Dad will be back as well later in the month. We'll talk about the Yes album for its 55th anniversary. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you all soon.